Welcome viewers. The top focus at this hour. Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia has died of prolonged illness while being treated at Dhaka's Apollo Hospital. Now viewers, she was 80. The chairperson of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party breathed in fact her last at 6 a.m. on Tuesday, according to the statement which has been issued by her party. Now, she had been suffering from multiple age-related ailments, including advanced cirrhosis of the liver, arthritis, diabetes, and complications related to her chest and heart, according to her doctors. Now, when we talk about her political legacy, viewers, Zia served Bangladesh as a Prime Minister 3 times, twice for full 5 terms and once for just a few months. Zia, in fact, is the widow of former military chief turned President Ziaur Rahman, who was assassinated in Bangladesh back in 1981. Now, Zia and Sheikh Hasina, in fact, have alternately ruled the country as prime ministers since the year 1991, when the country returned to democracy after the ouster of authoritarian President H.M. Ershad. Now, during Hasina's 15 years in power, Zia was tried and then jailed for 17 years in 2 corruption cases. Her party says the charges against Zia were politically motivated, an allegation Hasina's government denies. Now, later Zia was in fact released from the jail on the condition that she would not leave the country. This has been her political legacy, her political journey as far as Bangladesh is concerned. First woman Prime Minister of the country, second in the Muslim world to lead the country in the position of Prime Minister. She is somebody who's led Bangladesh's Nationalist Party since Ziaur Rahman's assassination. Leading the party, also played an important role in the democracy uprising back in the 1990s in Bangladesh against General Arshad. She is definitely leaving behind a political legacy that will be remembered by people. And at this moment, remember, her death comes at the time when her son had returned to the country just last week. Tarique Rahman, BNP in fact is looking to make a comeback in the upcoming elections, and now the announcement coming in of Khaleda Zia passing away in Bangladesh. Remember, she had been ill for quite some time now. She was suffering from age-related ailments related to liver cirrhosis, arthritis, diabetes, and complications related to her heart and chest as well. She breathed her last at about 6 a.m. on Tuesday, according to the statement which has been released by her party. Now, viewers, when we talk about her political journey, she served Bangladesh thrice as Prime Minister. For 2 times, she even completed a full 5-year term, and for just once, she was there as a Prime Minister for a few months. Now, Khaleda Zia is the widow of former military chief turned President Ziaur Rahman of Bangladesh, who was assassinated in 1981. So, since 81, in fact, she has been leading BNP in the country. In fact, Zia and Sheikh Hasina, they've both ruled alternately as the Prime Ministers since 1991, which is when Bangladesh returned to democracy. Now, viewers, during Hasina's 15 years in power, Zia was in fact tried and jailed for 17 years in 2 corruption cases. A party says the charges against Zia were politically motivated, an allegation that Hasina's government denies. Now, later, Zia was released from jail on the condition that she would not leave the country. In fact, she had been in hospital for quite some time now. The latest was in November when she was admitted to the hospital. She had not been keeping well, and now her passing away comes at a time when her son had returned to the country just last week, Tarique Rahman, to lead BNP in the upcoming elections. So clearly, we're looking at a political vacuum as well, and a legacy that she's leaving behind at this moment, where she's played an integral role in the polity of Bangladesh. She was central to the democracy movement also in 1990 against General Arshad. And also, when we talk about her policy initiatives, she's somebody who's pushed for girl education rights a lot. In fact, she also expanded a free education for girls in Bangladesh. She's the one who introduced a food for education program. So somebody on the policy initiative, she focused a lot on education and healthcare. Now her passing away comes at a time, it comes after, in fact, a prolonged illness. She had not been keeping well for quite some time now. First woman Prime Minister of Bangladesh, in fact, and the second in the Muslim world to lead a country as a Prime Minister, only after Benazir Bhutto. She's led a Bangladesh Nationalist Party in the country since her husband was assassinated. She's played a major role in the polity of Bangladesh, right from serving as a Prime Minister to playing a major role in the democracy movement in 1990. And in fact, she also was the first lady of Bangladesh. So she served the country in various capacities over the years. And now we're looking at her political legacy, her political journey today, as she breathed her last, in fact, at about 6 a.m. on Tuesday. She was 80 years old, viewers, and she was suffering from age-related ailments, including advanced cirrhosis of the liver, arthritis, diabetes, heart and chest complications. But also, we have to look at the political context also when this announcement comes in. Bangladesh currently is in a political turmoil. UNIS has not been able to get a grip on the country. And you have elections coming up wherein BNP aims to make a comeback. Tarique Rahman, Khaleda Zia's son, in fact, had returned to the country just last week. So one cannot see this news, in fact, out of that context at this point. But let's also take a look at the kind of legacy she's leaving behind. She married Ziaur Rahman in the year 1960. And she's been leading Bangladesh Nationalist Party, remember, one of the major political parties of the country, since Ziaur's assassination in since 81, she's been leading the party. When we talk about her struggle for democracy in Bangladesh, she was in fact detained 7 times during General Arshad's rule in the country. She fought for democracy. In the 1990 movement for democracy, she played a central role. And she was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh from 1991 to 1996, and then again from 2001 to 2006. Full 5-year terms she played for twice, in fact. And now, at the age of 80, she has passed away after prolonged illness. Now, in fact, when we talk about the political landscape, Zia and Sheikh Hasina both have led the country alternatively as Prime Minister since 1991, which is when the country returned to democracy after the ouster of authoritarian President H.M. Arshad. And since then, we've seen her complete 2 full 5-year terms. But later on, during Hasina's 15 years in power, Zia was in fact tried and jailed for 17 years in 2 different corruption cases. So she served Bangladesh in various capacities over the years and leaving behind a political legacy that will in fact be remembered for years. Remember earlier when she was ill, in fact, Prime Minister Modi had also expressed a deep concern about the health of Begum Khaleda Zia, who's contributed to the public life for years now. Prime Minister Modi had wished her speedy recovery, in fact, earlier. But of course, a major development coming in right now, a major political upset, if you can call it at this point. Begum Khaleda Zia passing away at the age of 80. The first woman Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and in fact the second only to rule a country in the position of Prime Minister in the Muslim world. It's only after Benazir Bhutto of Pakistan that she became a woman Prime Minister in the Islamic countries. Now, she had not been keeping well for quite some time now. She'd been suffering from age-related ailments, liver cirrhosis, arthritis, diabetes, heart and chest complications, and she breathed her last on Tuesday, in fact, at 6 a.m., according to the statement that has been released by her party. But somebody who's played a major role in the public life in Bangladesh in various capacities over the years. Remember, viewers, her death comes at a time when her son had returned to the country just last week to lead a BNP in the upcoming elections. So, of course, we'll also have to see how does this impact the political developments in the country as well. But currently, an unfortunate development coming to light from Bangladesh, where Khaleda Zia has passed away at the age of 80 after prolonged illness. Now, viewers, let me also tell you more about her political journey and the legacy she is leaving behind. In fact, now Khaleda Zia served as Bangladesh's Prime Minister 3 times, twice for full 5-year terms and then once for just a few months. She, in fact, is the widow of former military chief turned President Ziaur Rahman, who was assassinated back in 1981. And since then, she has been leading BNP in the country, one of the major political parties of Bangladesh, viewers. In fact, Zia and Sheikh Hasina both have led alternatively the country as Prime Minister since 1991, which is when Bangladesh returned to democracy. In fact, even before, during the democracy movement in Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia played a central role. And then during Hasina's 15 years in power, Zia was tried and jailed for 17 years in 2 corruption cases. A party says the charges against her were politically motivated, an allegation that, of course, Hasina's government denies. Now, later, in fact, Zia was released unconditionally from jail after Sheikh Hasina's ouster. But she had not been keeping well for quite some time now. So, major and unfortunate news, in fact, coming to light from Bangladesh at this point. Khaleda Zia, the first woman Prime Minister of the country, has passed away at the age of 80 after prolonged illness. Viewers, that's the latest we're getting in from Bangladesh. Khaleda Zia has passed away at the age of 80.